everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to work on some more of our journal. So I figured we would finish up the cover and we would get our pages ready to sew into the signature and maybe even get them sewn in today. So first things first, I have my cover just how I left it, and I think it turned out really good. And now we're just going to score it. So I'm not going to use my scoreboard because the lines aren't going to match up quite right. So all I'm going to do is kind of like fold it up, and I kind of pre-scored it just a little tiny bit to make it easier, but I'm just going to kind of fold it up until I can see the score line and then kind of just run my bone folder. And again, if you don't have one, if you have like a pen that is out of ink, or like the cap of a pen that has like that point on the end that kind of clips over your shirt, you can use that. Just make for sure when you're scoring it, you're not doing it hard enough to tear your paper. So kind of just like that. And as you can see, it didn't pull up on the side, so our spine is completely covered. I've zoomed in more, so hopefully I didn't go off screen with that. But our spine is completely covered, and both of our, like the edges are completely covered, so we're good to go. So here is our little journal. Just a nice size, super cute. And when we start decorating it, we could add some lace at the beginning or some ruffle, some page strip, whatever. So now that our book is folded, let me zoom out just a little bit because I think I'm a little too close. There we go. Now that our book is completely folded, if you are going to choose to ink, now would be a good time to do it. And I'm going to ink all around it, including the spine edges and the inside. The inside, you're not going to be able to do too much. You can just kind of run it. You don't want to fold it backwards because then you'll probably crack it. But if you can kind of sort of get in there, if you can't, it's not a big deal. But I'm going to go ahead and ink this, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I inked it all up, and I kind of just took my dauber and like on the side, rubbed it along here. It's not perfect, but that's okay. Most of this is going to be covered with the signatures anyways. So then I did the front and the spine and the other side. So I think it turned out really cute. This paper lends itself really well to being inked. And again, if that's not something that you like, you don't have to do it. But yeah, so now that this is all done, we're going to set it aside for now. And we're going to bring in our signatures. And I haven't done anything since we put them all together. So they're exactly how they are. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out all of this overhang. And then we can sew them in. So I'm just going to set one aside and bring one in. So if we look at this, the micrograph page is going to be the right size. So that one's good to go. Now this one is going to be a little big. So for now, I'm just going to fold it. And again, once we start decorating and getting into our journal, if we decide, hey, we don't really want this little flap on here anymore, we can easily just tear it out. So it's not a big deal. I would rather leave it on there unless I know for sure that I don't want it, than rip it off and then be wishing that I left it on there. And while we're going through here, because like these pages obviously are smaller, you kind of want to be mindful of where you want the page to live. So like if we put the receipt down a little and this page up a little bit, it's going to kind of like layer. So that'll be fine. And then this is our regular sheet. So this is good to go. This is a cut one, so that's good to go. For now, again, I'm just going to fold it in. And then we can decide what we're going to do with it later. So basically, that's all we're going to do is just fold all the pieces inwards. And if we decide that, you know, we want the fold on the other side, we just flip it around. So same with the envelope. And then these pages are all going to be the right size, and they're all like full height, so we don't have to worry about it. So then for the envelope, we're just going to fold it this way. Now we're into the back of the book. And again, like this. So I'll take you just through this one, and then I will fold the rest of them, and then I'll come back. So that's all you basically want to do, is figure out if you want to just fold them back, if you want to cut it off, or you know how you're going to deal with this, and then we'll be able to sew them in. So like that, and then I'm going to move this one down because that's what we did in the front, and then move this one up top. Oops, that one's not folded quite right. Like that. Okay, so there's that one. So that is done and ready to go. So I'm just going to open it back up and find my center. So here's my center. And I'm just going to grab a couple clips to clip this together because this is how we want it to stay. And I will clip it together. So I usually clip one on the top and then one on the bottom on opposite page. So just like this. And that'll hold it in nice and secure. But it won't interfere when we go to sew it in. So this is our signature. This is how it's going to be. And I'm just going to go ahead and fold the rest of them, and you can too, and then I'll come back. All right, so I have them all folded, and I have them all clipped together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a template for our spine. That way we know where to punch our holes in the signatures. Okay, so I have my piece cut, which is 1.25 inches, because that's how tall or how wide our spine is. And you just want to make for sure that it's going to sit nicely in there. And if you fold it up, it shouldn't catch on anything. That's how you know that your template is going to be the right size. So now you can eyeball it and just put your dots across, or you can measure it. And usually I just eyeball it, but I'm going to show you how to do it if you actually want to kind of be more precise. The first one I'm going to do at 3/8 of an inch. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. And 7/8. So that'll give us our 3 marks, and we'll have plenty of room. You could probably space it out a little bit, but doing it on here, it's just easier if that's how we use it. And then we're going to do it 3 times. So we're just going to go in 1 inch. Then we're going to do 2 inches, and then we're going to do 3 inches. Okay, so all those little intersecting lines there are where we're going to place our holes. So then we'll just take our little pen or pencil, move this out of the way, and wherever it crosses together, we're just going to put a little dot. That way it's easy to see. And then we know when we're making our marks. And another thing you want to do is figure out, now these are all even, so it really doesn't matter, but something to just get in the habit of is marking your top. That way you know if it's not completely even, maybe you didn't measure it, you know which is your top and which is your bottom. That way you're not having your signatures kind of go wonky. So I always just put like a T, and that way I know. All right, so once we have our template, next what we're going to do is we're going to mark where we're going to punch our holes. So make sure your things are secure. So what you're going to do is make for sure that your page is going up, or your book is going up the right way. And your top, I like to turn it so it faces my right, just because I'm right-handed, it's easier. And we're going to lay this so it's even with the top and the bottom. We're going to lay it in the middle and then take some sort of pen. Sometimes if your pen is dark enough, like your regular pen is dark enough, it'll work. So a lot of times I'll use a Sharpie, and we're just going to drag it up from that dot. So I'm literally putting my Sharpie on that dot and dragging upwards. So you can see now I have my dots right on my spine. I kind of went off a little bit, but my dots right on my spine. And that one's lined up and ready to go. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to punch our holes. So if you want to grab like some kind of pokey tool, a hole punch, whatever you want, go ahead and grab that. And we're going to poke our holes. All right. So now that we have whatever we're going to poke our hole with, I brought a magazine. If you've watched any of my videos lately, you know I have a whole bunch of National Geographic magazines. So that's what we're going to use. I open it up to the center, so it's kind of even. If you're using a hole punch or something like that, you don't have to worry about this. But if you're just using a pokey tool, you want something where it has like the center spine like this, so you can sit it down in, and you'll be able to poke your holes. We're going to fold it backwards like this, and we're going to set that right down in our book. So right where our hole is, or our dot is, we're just going to push straight down. Okay. And then where our dot is, we're going to push straight down. And what the magazine does, you can use a thick book, whatever you have, or some foam or whatever. What it does is it keeps it level. So when you're pushing down, your pokey tool is kind of not going all over and off the side. So see, you flip it back over and you see that your holes are in the center of your spine. And sometimes when you're folding it back and forth, you might have to readjust these a little bit because they might bulge a little bit. So we have that. And then let me zoom you in a little bit. Maybe if I turn it sideways, it'll be better. Oops, sorry. Jiggle the camera. All right. So now we're pretty zoomed in. So we're going to find the center dot, holding it upwards and down. We're going to find the center dot, push straight down, so like that. Give it a little twist if you want to. Find the next dot, push straight down. We're going to find the last dot. Whoops, too far. Like that. Push straight down. Like that. And we're done. Let me zoom you back out. Okay. So now we have all of our dots poked. And you can see I kind of got off a little bit because these ones weren't in the center. So I made sure that I poked it actually in the center, not where the dot was. So if you can see on here, we're in the center, not off to the side. So sometimes you just have to be mindful of that. You might have to adjust a little bit. Now that we have everything punched, we're going to go ahead and punch the holes for our cover. And what you're going to do is line it up in there. It's easier if you close your book. That way it gives you more of like a flat surface. And let me actually grab a couple paper clips. And we'll just kind of paper clip this on. Now, if you have more of those regular clips, you can use those. I have a whole bunch. I'm not sure where they are right now. So we'll just use these. All right. So again, I'll just try and zoom you in a little bit. And we're just going to take our pokey tool, line up on our template, and just kind of poke through. Now this one, you're not going to really feel too much resistance, but you could always pick it up just to make for sure that it's poked through. Just make for sure that you don't poke yourself, because it really does hurt. So sometimes it's easy, if you're going to pick it up, it's easier to maybe start it flat, push through, and then pick it up just a little tiny bit. So now, if you flip it over, you can see we have 3 holes here, 3 holes in the center, and 3 holes at the top. And they're pretty much even. I mean, they're not 100% perfect, but they're good. So now, let me zoom you back out. And what we're going to need is a needle. So again, if you have like one of the needles with the really big eyes, like this, and then the blunt end tip, that's the best thing. And then whatever twine that you're gonna sew in your signatures, and then we'll be able to stitch in. All right, so I have my needle and I have my twine. I went ahead and threaded my needle off camera just because I figured if I would try, it wouldn't work. So rule of thumb is like 3 times the size of your journal is about the amount of string that you're going to need. So I just usually go 1, 2, 3, just real loosely. I mean, you're going to have a ton left over anyways, but that's kind of just rule of thumb. So then make for sure that you take your template out. We're going to set all of this to the side, and we're going to bring in our signatures. Now you're going to start from the back of your book. So whichever one you want on your back, that's the one we're going to do first. And don't think for me it really matters. Make for sure that whichever is top is going to go up, and then make sure you give it a good crease before you start. So make sure and give it a good crease. And then we're going to do the back of the book. So these 3 dots, let me see if I zoom you in. Let's see if I can stay on camera. I'm not sure. We'll try. All right. So first thing is you're going to go, if you want your knot to be on the outside, you're going to start on the outside. If you want it to be on the inside, which is what you normally see, you're going to want to start on the inside. So you go through the middle first. Okay. And you're going to go through the middle of your hole this way. Oops. The middle and the middle. And sometimes, you know, it's a little hard to wiggle it through, especially if you're using one of the bigger needles, but kind of have to work it through. Now make sure you keep a little bit of a tail. Kind of just hold on to it. Now you can either go to the top or the bottom. It doesn't really matter. But I'm just going to go through the top. So go through your hole and you'll come out your journal. You see that. Now sometimes it's easier to pull it apart. Sometimes it's easier if everything is lined up right, just to keep it all together and then poke it right through. I'm going to bring my book back in actually. That way I can kind of like push against it. Okay, so it came out like that. Now we're going to skip the middle and we're going to go through the bottom. this. And then we're going to go through the bottom of the journal. And you just want to keep in mind, especially when you're doing multiple signatures, that you're going in the right hole. So even if you're going in the bottom hole and you know that's where you go, you want to make for sure that it's the correct grouping. Okay, we're going to go back in the middle. And then we're going to go back through. Now you just want to make for sure that when you're coming back through, where am I? Okay, when you're coming back through, you don't split your thread. And you're gonna, oops, hold on. Oh, hold on. Let me rethread my needle. Okay, I zoomed out just a little bit because it might be a little bit easier to follow because I have to like turn it. All right, so we're going in our back in through the middle, and we're gonna go like that. Keep in mind you want to make for sure that you keep your little tail. All right, and you're gonna go in, and then you want one side, one tail to be on one side, and one tail to be on the other side. And you're going to pull so it's snug, but it's not going to tear. And then you're going to just go over and under and through and pull it. And then do it one more time. I usually just do it twice to make for sure that it's nice and snug. And now you can leave these long if you want. And you can put dangles on it, but I'm just going to cut them off. And your signature is sewed in. So now you can take this off. And you can take this off. And smush it, and you're good to go. All right, guys, all done. So there is the 3 signatures sewed in, and hopefully you guys got it. I know it was kind of hard to follow just because I like have to turn it a bunch. But if you need more help, there's a ton of videos on YouTube that show like quite a bit better than I can. But I kind of gave you like the rough estimate. So here is what the journal looks like. So already it looks nice and chunky. And there's that. So I'm going to end the video here. And next when we come back, we're going to start decorating and embellishing and doing all the fun stuff. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That way you never miss one of these videos or a haul video or a challenge video or anything else that I upload. And until next time, guys, happy crafting. Bye.